The sun hung low over the sprawling savanna, casting golden hues over the waving grass. In the small village of Kanyango, nestled between rolling hills and a winding river, a young man named Jabari lived with his family. Jabari was known for his quick wit, sharp mind, and deep love for his people, but life in Kanyango was anything but easy. One evening, as the villagers gathered around the communal fire to share stories, a man arrived from the nearby city of Ndala. He was well-dressed and spoke with a polished accent. "I come with an opportunity," he announced, his voice cutting through the crackle of the flames. The chief of Ndala seeks a young, resourceful individual to work in his household. The pay is generous, and the possibilities are endless. The villagers murmured amongst themselves. Such an opportunity was rare, and many eyes turned toward Jabari. His mother, Mama Akili, placed a hand on his shoulder. "My son, this could be your chance to make a better life for us all." Jabari's heart swelled with pride but also with a tinge of fear. Leaving Kanyango meant stepping into the unknown, far from the only life he had ever known. The following morning, Jabari bid his family farewell. Mama Akili pressed a small beaded necklace into his hand. "This will remind you of home," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. Jabari set off with the city man, who introduced himself as Mr. Omari. The journey was long, filled with the sights of bustling markets and unfamiliar faces. They passed through villages where the air was thick with the aroma of cooking fires and crossed rivers shimmering under the sun. Jabari marveled at the vastness of the world beyond Kanyango. When they finally arrived in Ndala, Jabari was overwhelmed by the city's noise and grandeur. Tall buildings towered over narrow streets, and the air buzzed with energy. Merchants called out their wares, and children darted through the crowds. Mr. Omari led Jabari to the chief's residence, a sprawling compound with high walls. There, Jabari was introduced to his duties, managing supplies, organizing events, and occasionally delivering important messages. Though the tasks were new, Jabari's determination to succeed fueled him. One day, Jabari was tasked with delivering a sealed envelope to a merchant in the market. "This is a matter of utmost importance," the chief's assistant warned. "Do not open it." As Jabari walked through the crowded streets, curiosity gnawed at him. The market was a bustling maze of colors and sounds, with vendors selling everything from spices to finely woven cloth. The weight of the envelope felt heavier with every step. What could be so important? Unable to resist, he ducked into an alley and carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and a stack of currency. The letter detailed a scheme to unfairly tax the villagers of Kanyango. Jabari's hands trembled. He knew the money could help his family, but the scheme would harm his people. Closing his eyes, he heard Mama Akili's voice, "Always do what is right, no matter how difficult." Jabari decided to confront the chief. Returning to the compound, he requested an audience. When granted, he knelt before the chief and presented the open envelope. "I have made a grave mistake by opening this," Jabari admitted, "but I could not stand by knowing its contents would harm my people." The chief's face darkened, and the room fell silent. After a long pause, the chief spoke. "You have shown both honesty and courage. Most would have looked the other way or taken the money for themselves. Tell me more about your village." Jabari spoke passionately about Kanyango and its hardworking people. He described their struggles and resilience, their hopes for a better future. The chief listened intently, his expression softening as Jabari painted a vivid picture of the village. Days later, the chief summoned Jabari. "I have decided to scrap the proposed tax," he announced. "Instead, I will invest in building a school and a clinic in Kanyango. Your honesty has reminded me of my duty as a leader." Word spread quickly, and Jabari became a hero in both Ndala and Kanyango. The necklace from Mama Akili dangled around his neck, a symbol of the values that guided him. Construction in Kanyango began soon after. The school became a place where children learned to dream beyond the savanna, and the clinic brought health and hope to the villagers. Jabari worked closely with the builders and teachers, ensuring that his people's needs were met. He organized meetings to hear the villagers' thoughts, ensuring their voices shaped the development. The chief also sent advisors to train local leaders in governance and healthcare, creating a foundation for sustainable growth. Markets began to thrive, and new roads connected Kanyango to neighboring villages, bringing trade and prosperity. Years later, Jabari became a leader in his own right, known for his integrity and commitment to justice. He oversaw further projects in Kanyango, including a library and a community center. Under his leadership, the village flourished into a hub of culture and learning. Visitors came from afar to witness how a single act of honesty had transformed an entire community. Jabari's story was told around fires in Kanyango and beyond, a tale of how one young man's courage changed the lives of many. Parents would point to him as an example for their children, and elders would invoke his name in blessings. Songs were written about his bravery, and festivals celebrated the unity he had fostered. One evening, as Jabari sat under the stars with his own children, he handed them the beaded necklace. "This belonged to your grandmother," he said. "It reminds us to always stand for what is right, no matter how difficult the choice." His eldest child, Amoni, looked at him with wide eyes. "Will we continue your work, Baba?" she asked. Jabari smiled. "Yes, my child. The work never ends, but neither does the reward of knowing you have done what is right." And so, the whispering wind carried the lesson of Jabari's bravery across the savanna, inspiring generations to come. The village of Kanyango thrived, its people united by the story of a young man who dared to do what was right. His legacy lived on, not just in the buildings and roads, but in the hearts of those who believed in the power of courage and honesty to change the world.